Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Tabitha, and I am here with Julie Simpson, Michelle W., and Amber Corinne. We are the founding members of Soma Tribe. We're so excited to have you join us on this session this evening as we discuss self-love and the importance of it. And I'm really excited to let you know that Amber is going to be taking us through a process to help us reconnect with the sensation and the feeling of self-love. So I'm going to let everybody just give themselves a brief introduction. So we'll go ahead and start with Julie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julie Simpson, and I'm an empowerment and wellness coach in Soma Tribe. And the subject of self-love has always been very, very near and dear to my heart, as it affects your energy, it affects your relationships, it affects your life in so many levels. And where this program and we're learning the processes we have and the knowledge and the curriculum will help any individual is getting over the limiting beliefs that we have all established, that we've all had to deal with, that we formulated early on and have affected us through our lives. And so this program kind of gets rid of that or neutralizes it so we can go on to create love from a whole place where we love ourselves first. Our cup is full, so therefore we can love others. We have enough that we can give. We don't have to hold on for dear life, which is what I've always done. So that's my story behind it.
Thank you. Amber?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join us today. I'm an alignment coach, and I'm certified in the magnetic mind process. I've joined together with these women so that we can actually offer our services to a greater number of people and impact as many lives as possible. The thing that is so important to me that I've learned over the years is that what you align to is what shows up in your life and how you get to experience your life. And as children, myself, included, I was aligned to a way of living and a belief system that didn't serve me now that I'm an adult. And so I absolutely love getting to connect with people, finding out their stories, what's not working in their life, and actually helping them train and recreate their focus on what is working and what they'd like to experience, therefore aligning to a greater experience of life and an expanded version of themselves. So it's really all about taking your infinite potential, everybody's got it, and allowing that to express, because we're all geniuses once we get into our right path of life, things that light our heart up, things that intrigue us, that bring us joy. And once we tap into that, you really can't help but be pulled, almost like a tractor beam, into a life that you absolutely love. So tonight we're talking about self-love, and we're talking about being worthy of love and not being worthy of love. And regardless of how perfect your childhood and upbringing was, regardless of how great your parents tried, or what type of community you grew up in, everybody has a little bit of like a chip on their shoulder where they just didn't quite measure up in their own eyes. Maybe your community was super supportive, but you felt that you weren't doing things right, or you didn't belong, or you never fit in properly. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about shifting that belief, because interestingly enough, we've created all of the beliefs that we have floating around in our paradigm, in our thoughts, and in our feelings, and we get to change them. And that's a huge place of empowerment when we actually get to change and choose what we want to experience. So very, very excited for this conversation and topic tonight.
Thank you. And Michelle?
Hey, thanks, Tabitha, and thanks, Julie and Amber. Yeah, self-love for me, I'm also a magnetic mind coach, and I help people, I think, travel for me, the longest distance I've ever had to travel is from here to here. And I had created a life where I was so disconnected from feeling, essentially, that it became very difficult for me to connect with, am I okay? And I just got into my stories and I felt that people tick off the laundry list. I'm always doing for everybody else. It's the kid first, it's the husband first, it's the boss first, it's everything like that. And I totally bought into that story. And over my voyage of personal growth and self-development, I kind of learned a few tools along the way, and I realized that, very much that the outer world will reflect what the inner world was. And I had created relationships where, my supposed intimate relationship with my husband, we were roommates and we were both perfectly suited for each other because that was our level of availability and expression and all that kind of stuff. And a few things landed with me. And what was so powerful about this work was getting to realize that everybody, no matter where you are in the world, is worthy of love. And that can be a huge pill to swallow, like, that elephant eating a bite at a time. I don't know why that analogy exists, because nobody eats elephants, but that's okay. It was just getting out of that. No, I have to first, all the conditional stuff about, I can't be okay with myself because if I'm not, we talked about this in another video you'll see about even body identity and loving your body. It was like conditional. Everything was conditional. First, I have to lose the weight to get love. First, I have to take care of everybody else so to make sure that they'll love me, and all this thing, and to get over and understand the teachings here that was the problem solving structure that the world is steeped in, and it wasn't necessary, because right now here, just breathing in and out, being present is worthy of love. And now to absorb that and not depend on it coming from the outside source and knowing it's coming from the inside out, or you're directing it at yourself, is huge. And then you start seeing the shifts in your outside world and being reflected. So that's been my experience with this work, and it's so profound. It's magical to experience.
It really is magical. It feels like how can this happen? Like, oh my gosh, you're doing something special or unique. And really you're not. We all have that ability to shift what we're focusing on and shift what's true for us. And it's beautiful when things do show up in our physical reality to be like, wow, I did that. And you feel like you didn't, but you really did.
It is magical, and it's genius, because we didn't know it before. We didn't have the knowledge that these limiting beliefs were even there. I thought growing up that that's just the way I was, and I had, my dad was like, well, he was cranky, and he was, and it was just the way he let the resentment. He was handicapped as a child. He had an injury, and he had so much resentment, and he had so much bad energy that it kept building and building and building. And then he was cranky, he was resentful, and he carried that with him. And he didn't have the self-love at all. And he couldn't give love in the same way. And he couldn't get on an equal vibration with people. And that's incredible to realize that we all can. We all can. Yeah.
Definitely. It's interesting because I grew up never understanding what self-love was, because I never had it. And so I didn't know what it meant because I had no frame of reference for it. And so it's interesting to try to teach people about self-love if they've never experienced it, because we can mimic it, right? We look at other people and we go, oh, well, it means getting your hair done or getting a massage, or it means, going to the spa. Like there's all these different, can you tell I own a wellness center? So there's all these like things, right? That like people think of as self-love. And what I've learned over my journey is that none of that for me was self-love. It was finally putting myself first and saying, what are my needs? Because I would always bend over backwards as a mom and a business owner. I would always bend over backwards to put everybody above me. And that was always seeking that feeling of love, like that I didn't have for myself. So yeah, it is quite a process.
That's beautiful that you mentioned that, because I didn't have a frame of reference for self-love at all either. It was a very codependent household. So if other people were happy, then you were kind of happy, or like waiting for them to not be happy. So you were trying your best to make them happy, right? Eggshells, like all the way, all the time. And all of my relationships reflected that. And even with, friends and whatnot. And so once I started practicing, the self-love movement hit, because it's been around for a while, I was coming at it from a place of trying to improve myself to get approval from others. Mm-hmm. And to make the distinction that I'm present for myself, I'm working on myself, I'm exercising for myself, I'm choosing nutritious foods for myself, I'm putting makeup on for myself, not because I want people to accept me, not because I think there's something wrong with my appearance, but because I genuinely enjoy the experience and I enjoy like pampering myself. It's a completely different experience. And to get to that place is just, it's so much freedom. Oh my God. And it brings so much joy to life every day.
I love that you
working out
brought
a whole
up
lot
the
funner,
makeup,
too.
Amber, because I used to put on makeup to hide my face because I thought I was really unattractive. And now I put it on and I'm like, oh, I just like decorating myself because it's fun. It's
I
just
do my
fun.
nails because it's fun. I just love being artistic in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my daughter taught me that. My 16-year-old taught me how fun it is to like decorate yourself and dress up and like take that time to like spend with yourself. And I used to think it was like selfish, right? To spend like kind of time on yourself. And now I'm like, no, it just feels good to hang out with myself and be like, what does my face look like? What do I want it to look like? I can play around with color and all of that kind of stuff. So I love that you brought that up because that to me now is self-love. It used to be a form of self-hate, like let me hide my face. And now it's from a place of complete self-love. So it's interesting how you can have
had
this
really-
action and have it be a different intention.
Mhm.
And that changes everything.
Energy behind it.
It's wrapped up. It's subtle, but it's profound. Even moving from the, I need to lose weight to I'm choosing health, as we discussed in the other video. The action or the experience might be the same, but it's oriented differently. And I had really interesting. Part of the information that we have learned is that thoughts and feelings aren't real. It's the filters, the beliefs we come into the world with and all this kind of stuff. And that can be kind of like, no, I'm pretty sure it's real because I'm angry and you did this.
I
and I
have
did
all these
this kind of
examples to prove that
I've
it's
got
real.
evidence, it's all real. Thank you very much. And it was so interesting today because my sister, she digitized our family slides from the archives, right? So I was whipping through there and I was like, this is so interesting because the belief I chose was that I'm always on my own or whatever bullshit thing that I had been clinging to. And it's so interesting because you don't know where. I said, the pre-conscious memory is anywhere from 4 to 7 before you even have memories to blame things on. But I looked and I went, okay, I see all these baby photos, right? Oh, there's Michelle, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, holy crap. And like, they did all the things, right? They were throwing the birthday parties, we were playing outside, the big belly me and the bikini, like it was all there, all the classic, you are part of this, you are trying. But at some point, there was some action, some tone of voice or whatever, and little me not understanding solidified that no, I'm the outsider, which there's tons of evidence that I wasn't, but that is the little seed that was planted, and then I rotated my life or whatever it is. But it's so interesting. And I went, well, see, thoughts and feelings aren't real. They're a snapshot, a moment in time that's like that locks in, and that's whatever voyage we're choosing. That moment in time was like that too. And there's all sorts of other things that happened as well. And what we focus on grows, right?
And it's so interesting because it could have been something really small, but the emotion behind it was so powerful that it became a belief that you carried throughout life. And that's what they're studying with like traumatic events. Somebody stealing your sandwich on the playground could be just as powerful as somebody, getting attacked when they're little in the mind, because you have no frame of reference for it being anything other than that. So just the emotion that you generated when you were little could have been something really minor, or it could have been something huge. It doesn't matter because when you're little, it's the emotion that came up that locks it in. So I like that you brought up that example, because it didn't have to be some big extreme event. It could have been something really minor that could have brought that and locked it in.
Yeah, but your body doesn't know any difference. It's like you said, the order of magnitude. There's no, but I'm not being bombed in a war somewhere. But
right,
somebody took, like you said my sandwich, but your body reacts with the same threat, and it's like, oh, that's locked in there now. Woohoo!
Because at 5, you have no frame of reference that there's other stuff. It's all about you. So like those memories are all locked into your tissue, and then you operate from that.
Well, you brought up a really good point. You said it could also be an ancestral belief.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Way
When that's
deep down
passed down.
in the DNA.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the exciting part about this stuff, we don't need to know.
Exactly.
No, you don't need to know. That's what I love about it. You don't have to go unpack and figure out where the original event was. I see that like in my practice a lot, where people are always like, I want to know the thing that created the belief. And it's like with the magnetic mind work, we don't need to find it. It just,
we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? Because then we're focusing on the problem and focus is where your energy goes. And that's why living in creation, and we're creating good relationships. Like we were talking about self-love for ourselves, and then transferring over to relationships. And then so we can create that. We can create the love for ourselves. We can create the love for others. We can create a great, committed, loving, amazing relationship that doesn't have to be with one particular person. We can choose from any of the infinite possibilities that the universe can bring into our existence. And then all we have to do is get it in the end result, form attention structure, and live in that, really live in that end result of a committed, loving relationship. And it's possible and inevitable. So that's what's really exciting, I think.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Great description, Julie, of like outlining the process. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he was telling me about how Chris Rock was struggling with the whole aftermath of the Oscar situation, and how he had been working with a counselor for the past like 3 years, a mental health professional of some form, on this issue that from his childhood, of being bullied when he was younger. And then he lashed out and he beat somebody up to the point of like severe damage. And so he's never forgiven himself for that. And he's also, takes the back seat and takes a lot of like bullying, even in his adult age. And I was like thinking, like, why on earth are you still working on that with your counselor for 3 years? Like, honestly, that's ineffective if you're still stuck by focusing on the problem.
No.
Because the more you focus on the problem or this traumatic event from your childhood, the more you're going to create experiences like that, which is what he was describing in this interview, is that, here it is again, popping up in my adult life. I'm, attacked on stage, and it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. We're here to say it doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly.
Here is a different way. Let us show you.
So much easier.
Yeah. And it's not, it's a journey, right? As you start working in the creation model, you start unraveling the blocks and the resistance to it. And it can be complex sometimes. And it's really helpful to have accountability and have other people be able to reflect back to you where you might be still in a problem structure. And I think that's where like our coaching program is really helpful, because a lot of the times when I'm not in the right structure, I don't see it. I'm like, no, I'm totally in creation structure. I don't know what you're talking about. And then these lovely ladies are like, no, we're on to you. We know you, and we can see how you're still problem solving here. And so it's nice to have that reflection back, because we don't always see what we're doing, because our minds are so gifted at hiding the truth from us, just to keep things the same, because our mind doesn't actually want us to change. It wants things to stay the same because it's predictable, and it knows what to expect.
Kept
And
us alive this far. It must be
right.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I kept you
Yeah.
alive. I'm not doing any of that.
We're not going into the unknown. This
It's not
is
safe to
safe.
love yourself, because you might become arrogant, like, so, or egotistical, or any of the other societal beliefs that we have about self-love.
Or somebody else you'll prove that identity right, that you're not worthy of self-love.
Yes.
Which is, yes, the last thing.
Or the other thing is, if I start loving myself and setting boundaries and doing all the things, what does that mean about the other relationships in my life? Because that might shift. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck on the self-love journey too, is because it does start shifting relationships. And it's a good thing, because they can become deeper and more beautiful and more vulnerable in that space.
Because when we are in that toxic headspace of trying to solve our core wounds, we do surround ourselves with people that prove those wounds right, where that you're not worthy, that you're into people that bully you, or females that that stay in abusive relationships, I have male friends that stay with women that bully them, because that are aggressive, do not treat them well, that kind of thing. And because that's the way their mother treated them, and that's how they feel best, they feel safe, and so it kind of goes both ways, which you wouldn't think, but it's your unconscious just wants to stay the same.
And that's the interesting thing as well, because
Is unhappy. Sorry.
yeah, the self-conscious is only 5%. It's like 2,000 thoughts or whatever, and 400 bajillion. 5% is measurable activity in the self-conscious. It's not 5%, and it thinks it's very loud, very, very loud. It's the why, it's the why, it's the why, it's the why, it's the why. And 95% is what's keeping us alive. And it's got the pattern and the memory, and it'll start popping up stuff. It'll go, okay, here's why, maybe, here's why, we'll make something up, here's another reaction, all this kind of stuff. So to have the methodology and the technology to go, just acknowledge everything. It's not invalid. This happened to you, whatever you're experiencing, and finding the reasons and all that kind of stuff. It's not ignored. It's acknowledged, and it's honored for everything it has done to keep you literally this vessel alive in its patterning. So it wants to stay with familiar, even if it's an abusive relationship. That's okay. It's familiar, hurts, but it's alive. It's okay. Another one, another one, another one. So the way we can work to acknowledge it all, honor it, and just let it go without the digging, without the unearthing, because we're such powerful creators. If you're oriented to find problems, you will. Endless ones.
Definitely.
And if you're not focused on something that you want, something that you would love to enjoy or experience, you're going to be running on default, just like Michelle, like you're mentioning, is like your personality, what you're using to like listen to us, what we're using to communicate on this video right now, thinks that it's running the show, but it's really the unconscious, which is making your heart beat, which is breathing your lungs, which is having your immune system function properly. That's actually what's running everything if you're not putting your full attention onto what you want to experience in your life. Nothing's going to change.
True. Yeah. So much of my life was around survival and around obtaining belonging. It was about belonging somewhere. And I compromised everything for myself, my health, my energy levels, just to belong. And I could never belong with them because I never belonged to myself. And so until I started belonging to myself, I could never find belonging. And it was amazing when I started on that journey, because now I feel like I have such a beautiful relationship with myself that like I always belong. It doesn't matter if there's another person around or whatever. I'm always in belonging because I now belong to myself. That sounds a little cheesy, but it's true. Like, I mean, it's true.
Yeah. Like, so what was the catalyst for you? I know the catalyst for me with self-love was when my father died when I was 23. I had a major depression. I think I gained like almost 100 pounds on top of what I was already weighing. I almost lost my job. It was really catastrophic for me. It was unexpected. And I started going, thank God, I started getting some help in counseling, but it gave me a new perspective on what life could be and what I was capable of, but it still focused on the problem. So it's been many years after that where I've had to continue to expand my self-awareness and my consciousness at what I'm capable of, what I'm worthy of, and what I want for my life instead of focusing on the pain of that event. But what was the catalyst for you ladies with self-love?
I think mine was, again, it was incremental, all the different programs and modalities and learnings and retreats and blah, blah, all this stuff, not to discount it at all, was valuable contribution. And mine ultimately came with my personal relationship when I just had this epiphany of the disconnect between us was so profound that I'm like, I can't believe this is actually what I would call a marriage. And then the next question I asked myself is this modeling anything that I would wish upon my child? Because what do? We go out in the world and we model it, right? And so that became my kind of guiding choice of I need to show up differently. And that the initial motivation was for my child, but of course it's dependent on me. And then one click led to another and I found this word.
Glad you did.
Here we are. I think for me it was a fairly recent thing. I also didn't, as Amber mentioned, understand what self-love was. I lived in survival mode. Like I was happy, but I wasn't I was doing the things, I had the job, but I just surface level happy, like nothing fired me, nothing. And I went to university for what I thought I should. I got into business because I thought I should. I wanted to work with people, so I got into HR. Well, that was ridiculous because HR is the worst thing when you're trying to help the people and you're really against the people because you're working for the company and we won't get it. but so even when I started doing self-development, I knew there was something more for me. I wanted to feel something inside. I didn't feel inside. I felt from, I went through bouts of drugs and alcohol to feel, abusive relationships to feel, and I didn't feel, I even looking at my dog who I love very much, I didn't feel. And so I got into personal development, and then when I discovered this and antidepressants, and I sound like a mess, but that
You sound human. You sound human. You sound human. Insert anybody else's name on this call, and that's
and on them too.
When I realized I wasn't broken and it wasn't just me, that's not just a tagline. I'm actually, you put 100 newborn babies in a row, and which one of them isn't perfect, right? We have no differentiations besides the circumstances we were raised in. We are all perfect. We all deserve love. We all deserve anything. And it's our limiting beliefs that are making our thoughts that are making us not sad, but just not willing to do things, not willing to get out. And and it took that for me to realize, oh my goodness, so I don't have to be afraid. I've taken chances where, my mom was very cautious, and so I wouldn't get on a motorbike. I wouldn't do, things because it's just, they're scary. And now I just do anything. I can't even imagine 6 months I would be talking, not that I'm doing it very well, but talking on a Zoom, and it's just realizing that, we are okay, everybody, and all we have to do is neutralize those little voices, and then we can be so much happier and love ourselves and love others, and it's incredible. That's a long story for a short answer.
Well, thank you. That was really beautiful, and you're not alone on that story. For me, I had just one catastrophic event after another, and it was I was devouring self-help, trying to find answers or gain footing. And it was just one after another. And I remember Brene Brown in one of her books saying, if you're not on the right path, the universe is going to shake some things up for you so that you get on the right path. And I was like, what am I missing? And it was the final one, which was so traumatic and so catastrophic that I didn't know how I was going to come back from it. And then I started down this path of the magnetic mind work, and that was only a year ago. And since then, I've just completely overhauled my whole life, but it has led me to this beautiful place of having this most amazing relationship with myself, which then led me to having this beautiful relationship with people all across the world that I never would have engaged with before. And now I have the most amazing, meaningful relationships that are authentic and completely based on the most unconditional love I've ever experienced. But that's also because I finally unconditionally love myself after too many years of not. So, but I devoured every self-help guru pretty much on the planet before I found this work. And this was what I needed. So learning how to create.
Yeah, creation. Sorry, but I had never even heard of creation. I'm not an artist. When I started Magnetic Mind, I'm not an artist. Oh my gosh, I can't draw. I don't know if I can do this. And I didn't even understand it as a problem, as a way of living, just living to to enjoy, to not to have to just slug away, you know?
Not just to
Yeah.
survive, right? That was so
Survive.
hard for me. I was like, you want me to create for the joy of it? What? No, I create to survive. That's why I create. And now I'm creating because I want to. It's such a different perspective.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful and such a gift to the world. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So Amber is going to do a did we decide on a belief flip and a recode? Yes. So she's going to show us what it looks like when we have a negative belief, like I'm not lovable or I'm not worthy. Those beliefs that run in the background that keep us from actually having a really authentic relationship with ourselves. She's going to show us what that looks like, and it's going to be a preview of some of the tools that we use in the Soma Tribe. So I'm going to hand that process over to Amber now.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. So, so this process, it's we're going to go into just a little meditation. It's called the negative belief flip. And this is how to create a switch from the negative belief that's causing you problems into a positive belief. And it sounds like, it can't be that easy, but hang out, play along in this meditation and experience it for yourself. See what it feels like for you to actually have this experience of turning a negative belief that's actually, it's, running your life on some level. Go ahead and silence your phones if you need to, and just get comfy. It's totally okay. No problems at all. So it's called the negative belief flip. What?
Let's kick her off. No, I'm just kidding.
Mute yourself if you need to. But you can also come back to this anytime that you want. After we've gone through it, you can come back to it and do it again and again, as often as you feel called to do. So get comfy. And the first thing that you need to do is think of an emotion or a feeling or a fear that's stopping you from loving yourself. So just kind of think about an emotion or a feeling or a fear that's stopping you from loving yourself. And I want you to notice in your life that feeling. Maybe it's a worry feeling or a procrastination or an anxiety or fear or doubt around loving yourself. And just notice it. Notice that feeling and feel the feeling that's stopping you in your life right now. And you can close your eyes if you'd like to do this. You can it's probably easier to locate that feeling or emotion if you close your eyes. And I want you to bring that feeling up and I want you to think about it. And if you can't find one right now, that's okay, no problem. Your task is just to find some places in your life where you're putting things off, where you're avoiding something. Places where you're fearful. Maybe there's things that you need to do, but you're just not doing it. And our emotions and our behaviors are signs of what's going on subconsciously for us. So that's why it's actually a lot easier than you expect to find where you're kind of avoiding some different things or not fully loving yourself. So if we look into these places where we feel fear or worry or anxiety, or we feel, like we're not able to really truly love ourselves, maybe it's too big or too scary to even think about going there, where we're putting things off, or maybe we're avoiding, we'll find those negative beliefs that are supporting it. It's just like legs on a table. Think about that. Tables need legs in order to support them. And that's the same thing with this feeling. If you take the feeling of feeling doubt for yourself, or doubt that you could possibly even love yourself, that feeling is going to have many different legs, which are different beliefs that are supporting it. So what we're doing right now is just kind of locating that feeling, and we're going to have you locate that some of those beliefs where you're just not quite able to love yourself. So just take a minute and get really clear. And once we knock out those table legs, the big feeling, that big, huge fear of rejection, or that fear of failure that you can love yourself, or the doubt, or maybe it's the fear of doing it wrong or being rejected, or being turned into a selfish person. We're going to remove those table legs and we're going to have you flip that into a new experience. So if you have closed your eyes, go ahead and open them and just take a moment to write down that feeling right now, that thing that stops you from loving yourself. You're very clear on it. We've just taken a moment to tap in. So yeah, just write it down. And now that you've written it down, I want to ask you, what belief would someone have to have in order to create that experience? So you know that feeling. You know the feeling of doubting yourself, of being too scared to love yourself fully, of being not good enough. Maybe there's some perfection there where you feel like you can't love yourself, or you're just not lovable because you need to lose some weight, or you need to finish the folding the laundry, or you need to clean your house more, like whatever it is, whatever it is that you feel like it's stopping you. Those are beliefs. So just take a moment and look at some of those beliefs. You decided on those beliefs. So as you're writing it down, just think about it. What belief would someone have to have in order to support that feeling, or that fear, or that rejection, or that decision that you're just not lovable? What would they have to think about themselves, or about their life, or about other people or the world? Now that you've written that down, go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to take a nice deep breath and close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, I want you to bring up this belief, one of those beliefs in your mind. It could be the biggest one, the one that's the scariest, or the biggest, or the hardest, or maybe it's one that you've been working on for a while. If you need to take a peek at it, that's totally fine. Take a peek at what those beliefs are, and just pick one and bring it up in your mind. And I want you to feel what it feels like to be the person who has this belief. And just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I want you to feel your body relax with every breath in and every breath out, and just relax more and more. As you're breathing in and you're breathing out, and you're relaxing more and more and more. And you're sinking into your seat and sinking into your chair, and just go ahead and open up your energy field. If you'd like some additional support in this process, give me permission to connect with your superconscious. And if you don't, that's okay. You can just continue following along with your eyes closed, and it'll be just as effective, no problem. And you're just relaxing more and more, and you can feel the relaxation starting at the top of your head, and it's just washing over you like a warm bucket of water, and it's just melting all the tension from the day down through your head and your shoulders and your neck and your torso, and your arms are relaxing, and your stomach's relaxing, your hips are relaxing, your thighs, your calves, your feet, and you just feel so much more relaxed. And now I want you to grow yourself younger in your mind. You're going to grow yourself younger from the age that you are now. You're going to start growing yourself younger. And you're going to grow yourself younger, holding that belief in your mind, that belief that you're not lovable. Holding it in your mind, growing yourself younger, and you're going to grow yourself younger all the way back through high school, through middle school, through elementary, until you reach the place where you created that belief in your mind. All the way back, just keep going all the way back through all of your experiences. Go all the way back until you can't access that belief anymore. You can just feel it. You don't have that belief in words, you just feel that same feeling, where that belief is supporting that feeling. There's a time in every human's life where they created the belief. You created this belief. Everyone has created their beliefs. So grow yourself younger until you get all the way back where you just feel the feeling. You can't think of the belief anymore, but you just feel it. And this is definitely a place before you created it. Now, back then, you just were innocently living life. And I want you to ask yourself, is that belief what you truly wanted to create, or would you rather have had something different? You were innocently creating life, and you wanted to have something different, but you created that belief because that was the way life went. So now connect with, what's the opposite of that belief? The opposite of the belief that you're holding, that feeling. You might have been believing that you have to be a certain way in order to be lovable, that you're too fat or you're too skinny or you're too old or you're too young or you're just not enough in some capacity. You need to be different. What's the opposite? So if you have a belief that I'm not lovable, just flip into the opposite, that I am lovable. If you have a belief that I'm not good enough, I don't belong, flip into the opposite of I am good enough, I do belong. Maybe you have a belief that I'm just not attractive. Flip into the opposite of that. I am attractive. Now, just for a second, hold that in your mind. And can I ask you a question? Keeping your eyes closed, I'm going to ask you a question. Think about it. Think about every great person who's mastered a skill. Think about Serena Williams playing tennis. Do you think that she was perfect when she very first started playing tennis? Was she absolutely smashing the ball over the net perfectly, exquisitely every time? Think about any great sports star or anyone who's great. Do you think about Maya Angelou? Do you think she was perfect when she first started writing? Of course not. Of course not. Do you think that everybody who's mastered their craft and who's succeeding at what they've chosen to focus on has made mistakes when they first started? Absolutely, they have. Loads of mistakes. Do you think that when they made a mistake, they created the belief that they're not good at that thing? Or do you think that maybe they chose to let that belief go and they actually focused on the opposite belief? You see, what happens is way back when we're first creating our belief, we had to choose what we were going to hold on to. So as we move forward, I want you to find a time in your life when you start to feel that old belief starting. And you're there right now, I can feel it. And I want you to, from this place where you were feeling that old belief starting, I want you to float up off of your timeline where you've grown yourself smaller. I want you to float up off of your timeline, and I want you to make a new decision now. And you're just imagining this and doing the very best that you can, following along. And make a new decision that you're going to choose the opposite of that belief. You're going to choose what it is that you want. I want you to decide that this is the way you're going to believe from now on. Even though the results in your life might not show it, you're just going to believe that you are lovable. You're just going to believe that you are attractive. You're just going to believe that you do belong, that you are good enough. You're going to believe it, that you are significant. You're going to believe that you are capable. You're just going to decide it at this exact moment. And you've decided it. And I want you to float back down and go into the experience now. And just notice the experience in your timeline as that small child. And if you can't picture anything, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Just listen to what I'm saying and just follow along. Just feel if feeling is more prominent for you. Whatever it is, I want you to make that decision where you decide with total energy and attention that this is the way it's going to be in your life now. And just realize and notice how it would feel if you believed this way with this new belief that you're choosing and deciding right now. How would you feel right now if you believed this new way in your life? And as you make this decision, as you change your energy in this new way of believing, go ahead and allow everything to just get out of your mind and just focus on this new feeling. How would it feel if you felt this new way? And just feel it. This new belief. How would it feel if this was true? Absolutely true. And take a deep breath in and just feel it. Feel what it's like to be the person with this new belief that you are lovable, you do belong, you are significant, you are capable. Notice what it's like when you say this to yourself. Notice the picture that you might bring up as you make this decision. And just like Serena Williams, and just like Maya Angelou, and just like any other person who has mastered their craft and given their gift to the world, you're making the choice that you want to believe, and you're choosing it. All successful people make that choice. They believe that in the future, even though the results at the present moment didn't show it, they believed in the future they were going to step into that experience. And I want you to take the energy from some of these great leaders, from Nelson Mandela, from Gandhi, from anyone else that pops up into your mind, from people who believed more in a future, even though nothing in the present moment was backing up that future at this exact moment. And I want you to make this decision and feel the way it would feel right now to pull energy from all of these people that you look up to. Pull that energy in, and what else can you do in your life to feel that energy even more? And just feel it in your future. It's coming back into your future in real life results, and you can feel it now. And with this new decision, you can only start growing a little bit older and a little bit older. You know what age you are when you make this decision. And from that age, I want you to start growing older little by little. You've made this decision. You're lovable. You are acceptable just as you are. You're capable. You're important. You matter the way that you are right now. And you're starting off with this new belief. And as you're growing yourself older from that moment, whether you can see it or feel it or not, whatever is happening for you is just perfect. Feel that new decision, that new belief, carrying with you through your life as you grow older and older. And I want you to grow yourself older. And as you grow yourself older, I want you to notice how you start to feel differently, because you've chosen to experience life differently. You've chosen to be different. You've chosen a new choice. And the results might be the same, but you've chosen to feel different. So you might still have these experiences in your life, but you feel differently with them. And at some point, the results change. As you move older, the way that you're feeling starts to change, and the way that things show up. So you're bringing yourself all the way into the present day, and you're feeling this new feeling and this new choice and decision. You've grown yourself older, and I want you to catch up into the present moment with this new decision, this new way of feeling. And now you're going to step out into your future. You're in the present day and you're going to step into your future. And how does your future look? You're taking this new belief with you, this new feeling. How does your future feel as you take that step? How do you feel different now that you have this new belief? And you're going to feel it more and more and more. And notice how it's different. And notice how your past starts to change and rewire. The feeling about the past is different now. You're in the future and you're living this new way. You've got a new feeling and a new belief, and your past is starting to change. And notice that a different time in your future where you act differently because of this new belief. Notice how you're acting. And I want you to find another time where you acted differently, and just notice how you're interacting with people, how you're interacting with yourself, how you're choosing to love yourself. And as you're in your future, noticing how you're choosing to love yourself, I want you to look back at your past and think about your past. As you feel into your past, I want you to notice that it's changed because you decided and you're in control. And as you come back to the present moment, to your present body, you've noticed your past, you've noticed how it's changed and how you feel differently. And come back into the present time, into your present body with this new belief, this new way of operating. And just take some deep breaths and feel the shift. And open your eyes whenever you're ready. You're opening your eyes to a new body and a new future. And whenever you're ready, you can do that now. And I want you to remember, and to realize that you did something amazing today. You really did. You reconditioned your past. Your past does not exist except for what you remember. And so you get to throw out anything that's not serving you, and you get to experience your past in a new way. All successful people have made this choice. You get to let go of what's not serving you, and you get to choose how things show up for you now. And if you start to revisit this whenever you get a chance, if you want to knock out some more of those other table legs, you're free to at any time. So congratulations on making this choice. Revisit this meditation again and again.
That was beautiful, Amber.
It
Thank you
was.
so much,
Beautiful.
Amber.
Good job for everybody making the choice.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. I really like that exercise.
Thank you.
I didn't realize it was still dusting around in there. And then some stuff that needed cleaning up came up and I was like, oh, it's still looming in there. I can see it now. So it's funny, like even as you do the work, how it's so nice to have these exercises to continue to do over and over again, because it's layered, right? And there's a lot of dust that's left in the back of the closet that needs cleaning once in a while. So
And there's a
Yeah, I
lot
was
of
surprised.
different ones too. I came up with something. I went with a different thing that just hit me that I didn't even realize was bothering me. And I visualized exactly what it was, and I feel different. I
mhm.
feel more comfortable. Wow, that's an
Yeah,
amazing
that's
process.
what, very similar, it's something that, go back to the event is like, I haven't thought about that. I don't know, maybe since it happened. It was interesting. Where you go.
Yep. And that's the belief and the feeling that's driving your present day actions. And now you've just stepped into a new experience that you chose with your current awareness and your consciousness. So you don't have to have that experience that you've had in the past anymore. You get to have a new one now and in your future.
Thank you,
so much.
Amber.
Yeah, that was gorgeous.
So this is just one example of the many tools that we teach in Soma Tribe. And also, as you can see, the sharing the four of us have with each other is also an example of what you get to experience in Soma Tribe, which is that shared healing experience. And there's so much scientific evidence supporting the idea of co-regulation with our nervous systems and how we heal in a tribal community and how we really heal in a group environment, because we learn from each other, we support each other, and we can express and share love and energy, especially when you don't have it for yourself. And that is one of the things I think that's really unique about Soma Tribe, is that our coaching program is not an isolated event. It's a very cohesive group that loves and supports each other through this journey of self-discovery and transformation.
Yeah, it's powerful in that we were just chatting about it over the course of our discussion about all the modalities we can have had experience with and learnings we've had along the way, and every step along the way is a contribution. Absolutely.
And the breadth of knowledge between the four of us is just decades worth of knowledge in this little tiny
A
bundle.
lot of personal
Yes.
development work.
A lot of personal development going on in here. So, so if you're interested, there should be a link down below on how to join our tribe. And we very much hope that you do. We have a monthly coaching program that you can sign up for. And then we also have one-on-one coaching available through either any one of us that you can sign up for, which you can also find through the links below. So thank you so much for spending today with us and giving us your time and attention. We're so grateful that you decided to spend time with us this morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you were watching this replay. And we really hope to see you in our little family so that we can help love and support you as you grow and develop on your journey.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
ladies.
Oh, that's me.